Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Glad to be back.
And I just want to mention real quick, today's material is actually from a SpeakDuo lesson. You can go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from around the world who are practicing English on video calls to become more confident with their English speaking abilities.
Right. So today's focus is on advanced English idioms. We are just going to jump straight into our first phrase for today, which is to check something out.
Okay, check something out.
Yeah, at its core, to check something out means to look at or inspect something to learn more. Like you might check out a new app on your phone or maybe a nearby gallery.
I mean, I have to admit, when I first heard this phrase years ago, I thought it was just casual slang for literally looking at something.
Well, a lot of people do, actually, but there's a real nuance here.
Right, because if I'm just passing by a restaurant, I can look at it, But what elevates simply looking at something to checking it out?
I mean, the comparison is that looking at something is purely visual. It's
Yeah.
passive. But checking something out implies active investigation.
No.
You are evaluating it to see if it's good or useful or true.
Ah, okay. That makes total sense. You're essentially acting as a mini detective. You're looking for evidence.
Exactly.
So, if you're using this in an IELTS Part 2 response where you have to talk about discovering a new place, you could say, I heard about this new gallery downtown, so I decided to check it out this weekend to see if the exhibits lived up to the hype.
Precisely. You didn't just look at the building, you actively inspected it.
Yeah. But think about what happens when you act as that detective in the workplace. Imagine you check out a colleague's work and you find out they made a terrible mistake.
Oh, boy.
They accidentally deleted the master spreadsheet. When you tell your boss, they aren't just going to get angry. They might blow up.
They absolutely might. And that's actually our second phrase, to blow up.
Okay.
It means to suddenly become very angry, after unexpected news or someone deleting your work without warning.
But, why reach for blow up? What does that convey that just getting angry doesn't?
Well, think about it. Getting angry can be a slow, quiet, simmering emotion. You can be angry for days without raising your voice.
That's true.
But blowing up requires a sudden, explosive loss of professional or emotional control.
Oh, wow. So it's loud.
Very loud. So if you're telling a story about a workplace scenario, you might say, I accidentally deleted the master spreadsheet, and when I told my boss, he completely blew up.
Right. That paints a very intense picture. Just by using that phrase, you know he totally lost it.
Exactly. Now, to avoid letting your boss blow up, you might need to ask them for some patience while you fix the issue. Which brings us to phrase number 3, to bear with someone.
Okay. I see this in emails all the time, but I have to ask, what is the difference between wait for me and bear with me?
It's a great question, because physically they both mean the person is waiting.
Right. You just stand there.
Yeah. But bear with me implies acknowledging an inconvenience.
Yeah.
You're asking for their tolerance during a slightly annoying process, not just physical waiting.
I love that. It's so much more polite.
It really is. Like in a work presentation scenario, you're struggling with a tech, you could say, please bear with me for a moment while I try to get this projector working.
Yeah, that immediately diffuses the tension. And if people do bear with you, eventually the chaos stops and things fall into place.
Which is phrase number 4.
Yes, when things fall into place.
Right, which means to become clear, organized, or start working well, like setting a routine to feel less stressed.
How does that contrast with just finishing a task, though?
Well, finishing is just reaching the end. You can finish something and it's a total mess.
Yeah, that's fair.
But falling into place implies that multiple separate complex parts are naturally coming together smoothly, like a game of Tetris.
Oh, that's a great analogy. So, speaking to colleagues, you could say, after weeks of chaotic planning, the logistics for the conference are finally starting to fall into place.
Exactly. Everything is syncing up. But, sometimes things don't fall into place. Sometimes you encounter things that make you deeply uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a perfect pivot to phrase number 5, to make someone's skin crawl.
Oh, I hate that feeling.
Right. It means to cause someone to feel disgusted or very uneasy, like walking into an abandoned building or hearing strange noises or watching a creepy movie.
But wait, how is making my skin crawl different from just scaring me?
Well, a jump scare in a movie scares you, right?
Yeah.
It's sudden.
Yeah.
But skin crawling is a lingering, visceral, almost physical feeling of intense disgust or unease.
Oh, I see. So it sticks with you.
Exactly. So for an IELTS Part 2 answer about an unsettling experience, you could say, walking through the completely empty office building at midnight with the lights flickering genuinely made my skin crawl.
That is so descriptive. I feel like another thing that can make your skin crawl, or at least ruin your day, is a person who just won't leave you alone.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to phrase 6, to pester someone.
Pester someone. Okay.
Yeah, it means to annoy or bother someone repeatedly, like children asking for treats or asking a friend constantly for travel tips.
I always wonder, though, where is the line between asking a question and pestering?
Well, asking is just a standard request for information.
Yeah.
But pestering implies a continuous, repetitive annoyance. It totally ignores personal boundaries.
Ah, okay. The repetition is key.
Yes. So, chatting with your boss about a coworker, you could say, I don't mean to complain, but the new intern continues to pester me for the password every single morning.
Right. It's a behavioral issue at that point.
Exactly. Though I will say, sometimes pestering isn't malicious. Sometimes it's just part of an elaborate prank.
Oh, a prank. Okay.
Yeah, which leads to phrase 7, to have someone going.
Have someone go. I feel like I fall for these a lot.
It happens. It means to trick or confuse someone temporarily, often as a joke, like telling a funny story or sending a fake meeting invitation.
But wait, isn't that just lying? How does that differ from lying?
Well, lying usually carries malicious or permanent intent. People lie to cover things up.
Right, yeah.
But having someone going is almost always harmless. It's temporary, and it ends with the prankster revealing the truth for a laugh.
Oh, I get it. So, explaining office banter to a colleague, you might say, when John told me the company was relocating to Antarctica, he really had me going for a minute.
Exactly, it's a joke. But, if a joke goes wrong or you make a real mistake, you might find yourself in our final phrase.
Phrase 8, in a pickle.
Yes, to be in a pickle.
Mm-hmm.
It means to be in a tricky, awkward, or difficult situation, like plans changed with no backup or your ride got canceled.
I love that phrase. But why say in a pickle instead of in danger?
Because the severity is totally different. Being in danger is serious. It's an emergency.
Yeah, of course.
But in a pickle is highly informal. It implies an inconvenient, awkward, or difficult logistical trap. It is rarely a life-threatening emergency.
That makes sense. So, calling your boss, you could say, my car broke down on the way to the client meeting, so I'm currently in a bit of a pickle.
Perfectly said. It softens the bad news.
Well, okay, we've covered a lot. I think it's time for a quick quiz to test your memory on these idioms.
Sounds good. Let's see how well these stuck.
All right, here is how this will work. I'm going to read the question. Then I'll read the options clearly as option A, option B, and option C.
Right.
I'll repeat the target phrase during the setup, and then I'll ask you to pause if you need to think. And immediately after that, we'll give you the answer.
Let's do it.
Okay. Question 1. To verify the complex claims made in the comprehensive quarterly report, the auditor needed to check them out, meaning she needed to. Option A, immediately reject the unverified data to protect the company's reputation. Option B, completely rewrite the complicated documents before the upcoming board meeting. Option C, thoroughly inspect the detailed information to learn more about it. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
All right, the answer is option C. To check them out means to thoroughly inspect the detailed information to learn more about it. Remember our example of checking out the new art gallery downtown or that new app? You're actively evaluating it.
Exactly. Okay, question 2. When the executive realized the crucial negotiations had failed, he completely blew up, indicating that he, option A, suddenly became incredibly angry and lost his professional emotional control. Option B, rapidly expanded the failing corporate project to secure additional funding. Option C, unexpectedly resigned from his prominent position without giving any notice. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
So the correct answer is option A. To blow up means he suddenly became incredibly angry and lost his professional emotional control. Just like the boss blowing up over the accidentally deleted master spreadsheet, it's a sudden explosion.
Spot on. Moving to question 3. The presenter asked the highly demanding audience to bear with him during the delay, asking them to, option A, actively assist him with resolving the extremely complicated technical difficulties. Option B, remain unusually patient and highly tolerant while he resolved issues. Option C, temporarily leave the main auditorium until the scheduled program resumed. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option B. To bear with him means to remain unusually patient and highly tolerant while he resolved issues. Like when you ask your colleagues to bear with you while sorting files or fixing that broken projector.
Yeah, that empathy is key. All right, question 4. After months of rigorous planning, the incredibly complex logistical arrangements finally fell into place, meaning they, option A, completely collapsed under the intense pressure of the strict deadline. Option B required immediate and extensive revision by the senior management team. Option C became perfectly organized and started working together exceptionally well today.
Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The right choice is option C. When they fell into place, they became perfectly organized and started working together exceptionally well today, just like the project logistics and conference planning finally coming together perfectly.
Like Tetris blocks.
Exactly. Okay, halfway there. Question 5. The protagonist's deeply unsettling behavior throughout the psychological thriller genuinely made my skin crawl, meaning it, option A, caused me to feel profound empathy and deep emotional connection. Option B caused me to feel intensely disgusted and completely physically uneasy. Option C forced me to completely reconsider my established artistic cinematic preferences. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option B. Made my skin crawl means it caused me to feel intensely disgusted and completely physically uneasy. Think back to walking through that creepy, completely empty, abandoned building at midnight.
Ugh, gives me the shivers just thinking about it.
Mm.
Question 6. Instead of conducting independent research, the intern continued to pester the senior engineers, meaning he chose to. Option A, repeatedly annoy and continuously bother them with trivial daily questions. Option B, systematically organize their highly complicated technical schedules without prior permission. Option C, aggressively challenge their established authority during important departmental team meetings. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
That would be option A. To pester means to repeatedly annoy and continuously bother them with trivial daily questions, just like the intern bothering you for the Wi-Fi password every single morning.
Yeah, completely ignoring boundaries. Almost done. Question 7. With his incredibly convincing fake British accent, the talented comedian really had us going, implying he successfully, option A, motivated the entire audience to pursue incredibly ambitious theatrical careers. Option B offended several prominent individuals with his highly controversial political statements. Option C tricked and temporarily confused us as part of an elaborate joke. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The answer is option C. To have us going means he tricked and temporarily confused us as part of an elaborate joke. It's a harmless prank, like telling your colleague the company's relocating to Antarctica.
I'd probably fall for that one.
I know you would.
All right, final question. Question 8. When the primary investor unexpectedly withdrew all funding, the ambitious startup found itself in a pickle, or option A, experiencing a period of completely unprecedented and highly rapid growth. Option B, trapped in an incredibly tricky, completely awkward, and difficult situation. Option C, transitioning into a much safer and highly regulated corporate industry. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option B. To be in a pickle means being trapped in an incredibly tricky, completely awkward, and difficult situation. Much like your ride being canceled or your car breaking down, making you late for a meeting.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up the quiz.
Yeah, and if you tripped up on any of those, don't worry. These are deeply advanced phrases.
They really are. But, practicing them is exactly why you should go over to SpeakDuo.com. You can practice these advanced idioms in real conversations. It is seriously the best way to move from passively understanding the vocabulary to actively commanding it.
Oh, absolutely. The more you use them, the more naturally they will fall into place.
Nice use of the phrase. Before we sign off, though, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. We've talked a lot today about what these phrases mean, right?
Yeah.
But just think about the psychological power you hold in choosing which nuanced vocabulary word to use. Like, if you tell a colleague you're a bit annoyed, that's a conversation.
Yeah.
If you tell them you're going to blow up, you're setting a massive, uncrossable boundary.
That is so true.
Yeah, how much of your daily workplace stress could be actively managed or even completely diffused simply by changing the entire tone of a workplace conversation with just one nuanced phrase?
It's definitely something to think about.
It really is. Something to chew on the next time you find yourself in a pickle. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.